Hello everyone, Flufayy here, and today I'm here to ask you the most important question of your life. You know who Daniel Martinez is? I don't know much about him, but it appears he's an avid gamer. He writes articles for thegamer.com, and on his resume is the top 10 best Minecraft minigames. And I've been playing Minecraft minigames for several years, with that being pretty much all of my content, so I figured with the several years worth of experience I have on this topic, it would be interesting to see how an actual gaming publication feels about this topic. So we're going to be going through their 10 choices, kind of saying what I agree with, what I don't agree with, but this should be an interesting experience to just read this. Alright, starting off with Build Battle, I can kind of see that. I think Build Battle provides quite a bit for, obviously, builders, but also just people who treat the game a lot more casually. Like, I think that a lot of the PvP crowd was never a big fan of Build Battle. To the point where, like, back in 2016 to 2018, when I was first getting into PvP, I definitely saw a lot of people bash this game. I think culturally, people understand the value of this now, though. I will say, though, I don't always see it, but Build Battle does have an issue with game throwers, and that's just kind of natural when you have any sort of minigame that's reliant on what people are voting for. The top 3 player names are put in the chat, and while you don't win anything physical, knowing others loved you build is very rewarding. What do you mean you don't win anything physical? What Minecraft minigame do you win something physical in? But next up, what is this? I shouldn't have been talking about how I was playing Minecraft minigame for several years. This is my area of expertise. I don't know what this is. Wait, this screenshot's from 2015. Does this game still exist? Sky Does Minecraft and Vicstar123 played this. There's no way. Apparently 2 servers seem to have this minigame. A server that is clearly a prison server, and another server with 6 players on it. Well, I guess it says you download your single player worlds for it. Looks kind of interesting though. It looks like it's just parkour but really fast. I don't know, could be worth giving a try sometime. But this looks like a minigame that's time has definitely passed. Alright, next we got Spleef. Why are all the screenshots for this so old, by the way? Like, where are you getting these screenshots from? Is this just what happens when you look up Spleef on Google Images? Wow, it's literally the first one! Obviously doesn't matter. Spleef is another Minecraft minigame that I would also say its time has passed. I would agree with what he says here. It did help define the multiplayer experience. It's very simple and easy to understand for sure. Probably wouldn't be in my top 8, but it's fair. Oh, the walls, that's pretty interesting. I've definitely noticed a trend that the options being picked for this are pretty old school. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think the walls is very alive these days, which sucks because I actually really like the walls. I think it's a pretty underrated minigame. I mean, a while back I made a video on Hypixel's walls game mode, and I literally titled it Hypixel's most underrated game mode. But even before I got into like Minecraft PvP and all that, just casually I would play the walls on just random servers I'd discover, and it was a ton of fun. Especially since, like, back then, not everybody really knew how to play the game. But yeah, I do kind of agree with this placement. I think this is probably close to right. The only thing that confused me about this is this last paragraph here says you'll have, like, a shop and perks and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's talking about Hypixel walls, but this is not a screenshot of Hypixel walls. This is just random server walls, I think. Oh, Block Hunt. That's kind of interesting. Now, I do like Block Hunt. I probably wouldn't say it's number 6 out of the, top 10 Minecraft minigames. My most common experience with Block Hunt was finding a place and just sitting there for 4 minutes. Yet weirdly, it was still fun. Block Hunt is the rare minigame that can make doing nothing an interesting experience. That was awesome about it. A lot of it was just like watching as other players would pass you and just somehow completely not notice you, even though you feel like you're in an obvious and easy to catch area. I haven't played it in so long though. And this thing at the bottom where it says it's great to play solo or with a group, that's actually very more important than I think a lot of people might realize. There are some game modes that I do not want to play with others. There's some game modes I don't want to play myself. Block Hunt has an interesting dynamic, for sure, that kind of lends itself well to both. Next, they put Murder Mystery in here, and that's an interesting one. I can never tell if Murder Mystery is overrated or underrated, because it's not properly rated by anybody. It's an alright minigame. It's not one of the best out there, but it's alright. I used to hate this minigame like 5 years ago, but I think I've come around on it. The issue to me was just that you weren't really doing all that much. You were running around a map and hoping to get gold and then shooting a murderer, maybe. Like, often you wouldn't do anything or contribute to the outcome. But weirdly, the kind of run around in circles minigames have started to grow on me. I can kind of see the value in it now. Having a minigame where you can just sort of chill out, I think that's important. Murder Mystery is one of the better games at that. I will say this though, players start off with one murderer and one sheriff? What murder mystery lobby are you on? Yeah, I wouldn't call it a top 5 minigame. Still a really solid one at what it does, but let's move on. Okay, parkour. I don't typically think of parkour as a minigame, but yeah, it is. I don't know why I don't. I am terrible at parkour. Like, I've definitely considered making a video on parkour in general, just to show you guys just how terrible I am at it. Like, for me, movement has always been the thing I've struggled with the most in Minecraft. I think the value of parkour is dependent entirely on how good the map you're playing is. There's a lot of parkour maps that are not very good, or just kind of frustrating. And there's a difference between that and a map being hard, but there's just so many parkour maps out there. Even like with high pixel housing being a thing, a lot of people have open housing that's like a parkour room that lasts a long time and it's very expansive. There's pretty much an endless amount of Minecraft parkour out there. I'm never gonna be a parkour guy, so yeah, I probably wouldn't consider it a top 10 minigame for me, but it's hard for me to really argue against putting it in a list like this. And now we're on to Sky Wars at number 3. I agree with pretty much everything being stated in this section, although I will say that using these as your examples for strategies is kind of interesting, because you don't really see a lot of Sky Wars players playing defensively in the way that, like, they camp their island and build giant walls surrounding their island. Like, that's the strategy I don't really see much anymore. I think pretty much all of the high-level Sky Wars players I see nowadays play pretty aggressively. Sometimes too aggressively, honestly. I think a lot of players just don't care if they die, so they'll do the most hyper aggro strats that'll often get them killed, and then they'll rage that they died and call you names in chat, and you'll get really sad. Yeah, I'll always consider Sky Wars to be my favorite PvP minigame. I've just had too much fun with it over the years. And I've mentioned this before, but it's like, there's so many different situations and circumstances you can find yourself in Sky Wars. Like, I still find new things, like different experiences I've never had before. It's far from perfect, though, I'll admit. Now, let's look at number 2 here. Ooh, survival games. This should be fun. I hate to say this to all the survival games fans at home. I've never been a big fan of the minigame based on the book and movie known as the Hooner games. I've definitely had some fun experiences with survival games, but I never really liked creating elaborate chest routes and stuff like that to give myself a better chance at winning. To me, it just kind of bored me. But I'm not gonna act like this isn't one of the most influential Minecraft minigames of all time. It undoubtedly is, and was one of the greats of its era. But I'd argue, much like some of the other ones on this list, that time has kind of passed survival games by. It's just not that fun today, in my opinion. I think some people will disagree with that opinion, and that's fair, but it's just not for me. Now, I think it's probably pretty obvious what the number 1 game is at this point. Yep, it's Bed Wars. Given that it is probably the biggest Minecraft PvP minigame probably ever at its peak. I mean, him saying it might be one of the most popular PvP minigames, it definitely was. I remember this first coming out in mid-2017, and it just exploded. It was fun back then because nobody even knew how to speed bridge. Now that's something everybody seems to know how to do. I don't know if I would really argue that it doesn't belong in number 1, although it does kind of lack that long-term impact that survival games and Sky Wars have had. But then again, it's still 6 years ago that this game came out. Once again, the description is mostly just explaining what it is in the most simple terms possible. But this last sentence here confuses me. Like most PvP modes, losing can be frustrating, but once you achieve a win, it can be very satisfying and rewarding. I don't think Bed Wars is that high up there on rewarding wins. Like, you can win those games in a couple minutes and it's just, okay, cool. I guess it's like when you win your first round ever or something. You know, I'm gonna tell you guys a story that I'm sure nobody who actively watches my videos will have ever remembered happening. But back in 2020, I made a video called Desert Temples Are OP. It was like a Minecraft UHC video where I found a Power 5 book in a desert temple. And I was teamed with this person named Gothic Netgo Gamer. I'll never forget it. It was a random teams game. We were in the same call. We had spoken like once or twice before that, but I knew that they had barely played Minecraft competitively, didn't really know what they were doing, and had never won a UHC before. And then they died, but you know what? We won that game. And guess what? For them, it was an incredibly satisfying win. And it was awesome. I had so much fun with that game, because it's really cool to help people experience their first ever win. But the difference here is that UHC is an hour and a half long. I am sure they would not have felt an ounce of the same amount of joy if I carried them to a Bed Wars win. They would have never felt that way. I guess you can have pretty satisfying Bed Wars wins, and hell, I've probably had some in my own videos, but it's definitely not the standard. But yeah, that's the complete list. I will say there are a few minigames I'm a little surprised didn't show up. Well, really, it's just Skyblock. I am very surprised Skyblock isn't on here. Obviously, there's only so many you can put in the top 10, but yeah. All in all, this isn't a terrible list. I'll give you like a 7 out of 10. But honestly, I feel like I've seen a lot worse out of gaming journalism throughout the years. So respect to you, Daniel. You did a good job. If you disagree with this list, don't talk to Daniel about it. Trust me, he doesn't need to hear your criticism. He seems like a swell dude doing exactly what his bosses wanted him to do. I don't know if this is the kind of thing that really interests my viewers. If it does, I'll do more stuff like this in the future, where I go through just a random Minecraft gaming journalism article and say what I like and dislike about it. But anyway, I've been Flufayy, and regardless of whether or not you agree with this list, just play whatever damn minigame you want. Have a good day, everybody.